people like Maru and stuff, if I recall correctly, and some of the real big dogs. So he's definitely got what it takes, especially in this matchup. Anyhow, spawning over in the top right-hand side, playing for Team Alpha X, it is Future.
And in the bottom left, as the red Protoss, he is Alpha X's Astrea.
Now, I know you guys have seen it at home. Yes, there are SCVs out on the map, so this is going to be a proxy 2-Rex of some sort. This is very interesting. If your opponent isn't scouting, then it can be a guaranteed win. If your opponent is scouting, well, we still have to find out where this probe does go. Then it's going to come down to how does Astrea really react to it. But this is the kind of spice that a player like Future often brings to a series. I like it because it throws your opponent off for the rest of the series potentially as to what they are capable of, but I think Astrea's too good against this kind of stuff, man. And seeing that probe turn up in your base, it's kind of like, well, damn, that's not really what he was hoping for.
Nope, either a much later scout or just no scout at all, which, you know, some Protosses do choose 1 or 2 maps to skip that probe scout, you know, and say like, yeah, you know, it's probably not going to be the end of my life. But in this game, it is very good that Astrea got that probe scout out. And this is kind of exactly what I was talking about, where I feel like if Future is going to win, it's going to be based off of like a sharp timing, such as a 2-Rex, I suppose. But, you know, Astrea's got to be doing something like a Nexus first. All right, and then he'll lose. But if it's just some solid play here from Astrea scouting and responding, then I think Future is, you know, at best going to deny a Nexus and then not much else. Actually, Astrea is setting up his own proxy pylon for something a little bit extra after this.
Yeah, I'm very interested about the proxy pylon that he's set up at the top left of the map. It's quite far away from the Terran base and, you know, all the Terran infrastructure's out on the map kind of thing. That being said, this is a build that Maru did, and he also went into the same situation as now, and he still came out ahead / won the game. So it's not as if like, oh no, my opponent didn't, or my opponent scouted, like I'm dead kind of thing. Like, this is still annoying to kind of A, get out of, and B, this isn't the kind of game that Astrea prepared for, whereas Future, he's probably played a few Protoss in practice where he's done this to them, and he's more familiar with the follow-ups.
Well, does he expect a 1-base proxy Twilight Council and proxy Dark Shrine? So everything hidden. I don't know if he's going to expect that, but this is one of those situations in StarCraft where the lack of things is just as suspicious as seeing itself. Like, if you saw the Dark Shrine, great. He sees no technology, also okay, because it's probably a Dark Shrine in this case. So he sees 2 gateways, and he's like, that can't possibly be all that you have. So at the very least, going to start scouting around you for any hidden bases, but certainly hidden technology. And that's what it is. So now it's just a question of Future having a scan or going into a Raven as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I don't hate Future's position here. He saw that the probe came from the left. I love the fact that he took a Nexus at the 3rd position, did Astrea. So if this game comes down to, you know, a potential, hey, I'm scanning, do you have a natural? It's like, well, kind of. But this SCV will get the big scout off here, and that was good by Future, realizing and recognizing which direction the probe came from. Gets him the big scout there.
Probably not too much of a surprise, but good on the confirmation. You know, defending against the Dark Shrine doesn't necessarily require a bunker, but if it's going to be anything in addition, if you are worried you're not going to have a scan, then of course you're going to be a little scared. You don't know what's following this up. Future hasn't gotten back to see a natural Nexus or 3rd base Nexus. So, you know, with Astrea capable of being a really weird Protoss player, you know, it's not unheard of to actually have someone supremely cheesy go into Dark Shrine, charge that all in. Now, granted, that's a bit of like a diamond move, but that sometimes works out in a professional match when they're like, there's no way you could possibly do it. It's not happening here. And this is where maybe Astrea could just take advantage of a turtled Terran, right? Someone who is afraid of him. So he can actually start chrono boosting those probes and getting to...
Yeah, he definitely could. And I like what you say about that Charles DT blink kind of shenanigans, because I remember the first time that I lost against that, I was like, yeah, that can't work. It freaking did. And I was like, oh, geez, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Oh, that's a wasted scan. And yeah, Astrea can definitely be happy about that one. But yeah, I like the way that Astrea's going about this. He was a little indecisive. He started making a warp prism, and then he was like, no, I'm going to make an observer instead. So there's a bit of cancellation going on. But yeah, even though this started off in the super weirdest way, it's kind of turning into a normal game now where Astrea wants to go for 4-gate blink.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, is that going to hit as hard as he's hoping? I'm not sure. Future is still making... Oh, no, I take that back. He literally just swapped off his factory. Okay, so he's got 2 tanks, and he's going to go into his barracks production. The War Prism's on the way. The gateways are done, but then a 3rd Nexus comes down. So I'm going to guess Astrea doesn't commit wholly and entirely to this? Or just... I mean, it's only a 3rd Nexus, I suppose. Maybe he's going to stop probing very soon. He also has gases. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was just like hoping he could get something done if he saw less tanks than there were, then definitely, or just, a less prepared Future. That was an unfortunate Viking. Definitely a ballsy kind of move out there, because having that around to kind of work against the Warp Prism, but yeah, not much can be done here. And Future has to be careful about, okay, what's my opponent doing? How many Stalkers are here? Because as soon as they start doing this Warp Prism stuff in the back of your base, you kind of know that they're playing super greedy behind this.
It's actually starting to get a little worrying. Future's stim only just started, so that's pretty much your push timing along with your stim, and that's not going to be happening for a while. And Astrea is kind of reaping all these rewards. I mean, he does get the buildings. He got the Dark Shrine. He warped in a Dark Templar. I didn't do a whole lot. He got 4 gateways when maybe he could have actually stayed on 2 for a while longer, and then, gateway bloomed later on. But he's not really committing entirely with any of these choices. He's basically just like, you know what? Oh, you're not pushing, or yes, you are defending. Let's just move on. And it's still not an ideal game for either player, I would say. It's been a very weird one thanks to the T-Rax opener, but it is one where I think Astrea is kind of adapting quicker and better and utilizing, I guess, Protoss's choices here, where to go and what direction, I think really well, especially if that charge is going to be done by this push. Colossus will be done. Shield battery should be already up. I feel quite good for Astrea.
Yeah, this is super all-in for Future. He hasn't made SCVs for quite some time here, and I think producing that 4th gas was almost something that he saw that Astrea was going to see it. Like, given that he didn't really have the SCVs to put on it, but he's going to produce a couple. But yeah, very much an all-in attempt by Future, which this is kind of what he does, right? He gets a lot of timings going. This is very out there by Astrea. He is kind of lucky that Future wasn't ready to just pounce on him, but without combat shields, it might have been a bit dicey against the Colossus.
And that's still not done. Charge lots in the main base, or now charge lots in the main base. Going after the combat shields, actually. And they might be able to deny that. Meanwhile, though, an Immortal gets picked off immediately, and that would have been helpful to take down those tanks. But Astrea is going for more warp-ins offensively, not defensively. He's going to force this into, I mean, it was already pretty all-in, but this is now a real all-in. And Future, with his tanks being such an integral part of his army, it's like, speed is not his goal here, where for Astrea, he's like kind of like, yeah, unsiege your tanks, try and base trade this as I warp in more zealots in your main. You're not gonna win.
No, definitely not. The Vikings will deal with the Warp Prism, which is all well and good. The army of Astrea, though, it's just not looking that good, and no combat shield's done either. Astrea's doing this beautifully. Like, he's just weighed in. Time is on his side in every way, shape, and form. And Future, this attack just, oh my goodness, I can't believe that Astrea is also taking a 4th base while all this is going off. He is not respecting the all-in by Future.
He doesn't have to, apparently. Charge lots come forward and take away the power of the tanks, which, to be fair, we're focus firing on a Colossus, and they get 1, but there's 2 more left over. There's plenty of gateway units. We're talking about a Protoss on 4 bases. Still no combat shields on those Marines, too, so 2 Colossus will absolutely burn them. And I'm surprised to see Future still in this game, actually. I would have sworn he would have pulled the SCVs by now, but still hoping that combat shields might save him. There's the tap out.
No, yeah, I mean, that was a convincing game by Astrea. Like, he was put in a bit of a weird position, but this is very often what I see from Future. And I've always wanted him to kind of follow a bit more of the standard than putting his own swing on things. Like, if you do a build, it's very good to stick to the build. And I know I'm critical, and you can be critical, because, like, say if this worked out, I could have been like, wow, Future's a genius. But very often when I'm watching, when he goes up against somebody that is, well, we'll say better than, it's always a rough situation for him to find himself in.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think I think Future is also well aware that he has some like obvious flaws, I suppose. Like he knows that he plays a particular style. He also, I think, is very self-aware that he isn't the passion lord when it comes to this game either. So, and not to take anything away from him or say that he isn't practicing, because I have no idea. But just when you look at these two players and you're like, what were they doing in the offseason? Astrea seems like the guy who just like really loves StarCraft and he really loves experimenting with it and it's effective. So maybe there's some like talent there. Where Future would love to enjoy StarCraft and would love to be able to mix things up and actually have it work. But then it like often doesn't work, and that can feel very demoralizing when you can't, shape StarCraft to how you want to play. So yeah, when it comes to facing better players, they just stop him. They just kick the mold out from his hands and are like, yep, you can't play it weird. You got to play it straight up and really, really well. And I know he can do that, but I just don't think he likes being in that position of having to play stock standard, 2, 3 CC, push it this time, push it that time.
You might be absolutely right. Like I've seen him do some of these Raven pushes and he's done them quite well. There's one game specifically on Oxide. I think it was against Astrea. I liked everything that he did. It didn't quite work out for him, but it was very cute by him, and he kind of did play by the rules. Romanticide was Future's pick, which is very unusual. I'll go into that later. Anyhow, spawning over in the bottom right-hand side, as I read Protoss, it is Astrea.
In the top left, another SCV, is the Blue Terra in the Future.
So Romanticide is usually a bit of a unusual choice for Terrans against Protoss, just because it's a very solid 3 base map. Like you can get up and running very well. There's 2 ramps, one to your natural / and third, or one to just the third, but going about defending that is much easier than attacking up either one of them. Astrea is going to go for the scout again, which is good for him because, yeah, he's up against the same thing again.
Yeah, he's not going to find it. Not immediately. He's not going to find the actual proxy, but he will see that there is no barracks at Future's home, and then he'll like put 2 and 2 together. I'm not sure what Future is hoping to have something different. Like, as far as where the game went wrong for him, I would say just the 2 racks not working was already the start of a timid Terran. He had to play defensive and had to wait out whatever Astrea was going to do. So maybe he's thinking, okay, I won't be as timid if he's not going to actually put any pressure on me. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's actually a great start. I don't see what he changes to be like, yep, that's why I'm happy with this game compared to last game.
Yeah, it's hard to be optimistic, right? When it's, I don't think his play was necessarily bad or anything. I don't think this build got him super far ahead or anything like that. This probe is spotted as it kind of left the base and then ran back in. Now he does know exactly what he's up against. Oh, Astrea looks like he might be going for a different response against this time, which maybe that comes down to the fact that, well, its probe out on the map got killed as well by the SCVs. This is a much better and different start for Future.
Well, all right. Hoping that Astrea doesn't defend as well is certainly one thing you can hope for when you go for a second 2 racks. A soccer is now out, but the bunker is done. The shield battery, is that out of range? It should be, right? So, well, it might still be taken down, though. No extra shield battery to shield that one means that it does go down, and Astrea will have to wait for the one on the high ground.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, Astrea, I just saw him, he just shook his head, because he was like, why on earth did I do that? And, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, your defense of the first game by not doing anything was much better than what's happened this game, which, yeah, this is a much different scenario. It doesn't have the probe out on the map, can't, do some crazy hidden tech kind of thing, and now he's got to fight for this bunker to claim as natural.
Ooh, this is actually super awkward. Yeah, Warp Gate comes in a bit late because you're affording all these stalkers only on 2 gases, and he's got plenty of stalkers to break out of the bunker, and that's fantastic, but it's not like they're not supposed to go across the map and do a bunch more damage. You just assume there's going to be another bunker. But I guess that's what Astrea is going to try and do. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then he's going to go across the map, but Terrans usually have a wall, That's usually pretty difficult to break through, and a tank's going to pop out, so I don't know what Astrea thinks he's going to do with 4 stalkers.
Me neither. I do like the choice of tank instead of Cyclone, by the way. Like, I don't know if he was planning on the Cyclone first or anything like that, but if you can get that tank up, and I probably will be able to. Like, getting through this wall is a big deal for Astrea. Right now, he's picking off the units where he can. That tank, though, will shut this down pretty hard by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, what? Really?
You worried about the fighting?
Why did he... he stayed so much longer than I thought he was going to. Anyways, I was going to point out that, with 4 Stalkers, he was one-shotting and repairing SCVs, so I didn't even mind that he stayed, like, a little bit extra to kill that last one, but then he just, like, kept losing the Stalkers, and... anyways. He does grab 6 SCVs. That's more than I thought was going to happen. I thought maybe 2 on the repair, right? But grabs 6 SCVs, make that, I guess, a total of 8 with these SCVs going down, but loses yet another Stalker, and the bunker still isn't dead, so he can maybe even lose another Stalker.
You know what was funny about this Rax? It was actually stopping that Stalker from the high ground. Actually, you're like going down because it was attack moving, and it's doing it again. Look, that Stalker would be so useful for these Marines. But Astrea, look at his minerals, by the way. Like, he's microing, which is great. Loses the Stalker, and he's up to 900 minerals. This is the kind of game that I guess Future wants, right? Like, his opponent messed up against it right from the get-go. And now he can actually be like, oh, yeah, I'm actually in pretty damn good shape. And this is why you do these kind of builds.
It took so much longer for Astrea to actually clean things up and get his Nexus. I mean, I actually think that this is not surprising. His double Nexus expand is not surprising. This guy has had similar reactions in other games, but still, it's not as, he kind of got to take that last game in stride, even though it was supposed to really throw him off. We didn't really see any huge slip-ups or really just questionable decisions. This game, I think we did. He slipped up literally on his Stalker micro. He slipped up on his macro. He slipped up maybe using those Stalkers to go across the map. I don't know if the 6 SCVs were actually worth it. Yeah, I just... It is more of a game that I think Future wanted. But that's still... I'm not counting out Astrea, though, because I think he actually is really good in these types of situations.
Yeah, I think the double expand, when he went for it, was absolutely the right call, because it's one of those situations where no matter what you do, it feels wrong. So you might as well just go for the greediest play you possibly can. Like, one end of the spectrum, you either go super all-in or super damn greedy. And I think Astrea is making the right call here, given how Future... I'm pretty sure that Future will stick to some form of 2-base attack. Just because he tends to be a player of habit as opposed to just changing it all up. I do like this wall, though. This wall, you might be like, why would you make a wall against Protoss? But it's really good against the Blink Stalkers. The Blink Stalkers, if they do blink in to snipe the tanks, then they're stuck and they can't get out, and you'll die to all the Marine shots and whatever. But yeah, that scout, he gets to see everything that's going on, and he's like, oh, well, can't really deal too much damage to that, can I?
He's going to try and roam around the tank. I mean, there is so much room on this map to do so. So maybe the refinery starts getting picked off. Maybe the Raven goes head first, So far, so good on the defense, however. Astrea is just taking this opportunity to scout, to see where the army is. And then behind it, he is getting 3 probes at a time, probably Chrono boosting them as well, and then fitting in Charge and Colossus, which, I mean, if there is a time in the future to hit before Charge was done, before the Colossus was out, then that would be amazing. But every time I see Astrea get those 3 on the production tab, Extended Thermal Lance as well, I'm like, yeah, I feel all right. If he's not being attacked right now, then Astrea is making up for lost time here in a really good way.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought Future was going to be way more ahead than he kind of is. Because I'm looking at this, yes, the big 3 upgrades are coming in. He's got Medivacs, Marauders, Bio being made. But if Astrea can, live for another couple of minutes or so, he's going to be having quite a good set of units together.
I think he's timing this out really well. I mean, he hasn't had the most amazing economy like you would want in a normal game where you got the 3 Nexus, but he has made up for the very awkward time against the 2 racks. And now he's hitting, it looks like he's hitting all of the timings correctly as far as his gateway production is finishing up as we speak. Charge should be done before Future's really ready to engage, as well as Extended Thermal Lance. So the Raven can still be tricky. It's looking for an interference matrix, of course. But I even like how Astrea, he knows how to use his composition. You want to try and kind of not actually take fights, but try and slow it down. And then you're just warping in shield batteries and more units back at home.
Yeah, and I love this here too. He's trying to make Future use spells early, which is exactly what he's done. Astrea had no intention of fighting here. And I think he kind of played into this as well, because he was blinked into the main, right? And then he used an auto turret super damn early, which just shows you've got a bit of a trigger-happy player that you're up against. And look how Astrea's just buying time. That was a big shot of the tanks. That was well played by Future. But I think this is way too eager.
Yeah, just bio. I mean, it kind of saw those two Colossus looking a little bit alone. Maybe his eyes got wide and he was like, let's go for it. But actually, a ton of charge ups have been warped in. Finally, the one Colossus falls, but we're still talking about a lot of warp in potential. Astrea has 3 base, not quite fully saturated, but still working. Lots of warp ins, gateways are done, and shield battery is just finished on that right side as well. And Astrea is going to take the fight with the overcharge. Actually, nope, going to shy away. And that means the overcharge won't be there for the next fight.
Yeah, this isn't an all-in by Future this time, though. Like, his pro or his SV count, yes, he hasn't been making that many, but his third is almost done. He's still, I was about to say ahead in supply, but no, Astrea did just catch up now with the gateway count. And Astrea, he's on 58 probes with this, so by no means is he, like, down and out or throwing everything into this defense. And he's even got these Zealots on the run by. I love this.
It's going to force a lot of reinforcements to stay at home, as well as distract Future from the front lines. The Widow Mines are apparently a big problem. The Zealot's going to grab a couple SCVs, that's great, but is there just a missing observer? Yeah, he's got one in the bottom left that might be more helpful on the front line, so maybe the Colossus could try and take it out. The Widow Mines, that is, because the Raven's gone. But instead, I think Astrea doesn't really know what he's up against. You know, he's lost vision of the actual army, except for the Zealots, you know, getting those reinforcements. But he's setting up a surround, and this could be a very deadly surround.
I love the Archons as well. The best thing against tanks is Archons and the Zealots. They're a bit late to the fight here, and they're kind of almost moving through. The Widow Mines do connect greatly, but Astrea, I think he's done it here. He slaps down this aggression, and yet again from Future, and he's still got money to spare. The medevac's getting caught as well. Oh, lovely play from the American.
Astrea is very good at actually sizing up his opponents. I mean, he doesn't take the fight prematurely. He tries to buy as much time as possible, and then he sets up a bit of a concave. Yeah, the timing was a little awkward, sure, but I think at that point he just had way too much. Nothing to really, truly deal with the Colossus either, just like a one Viking at a time. Marauders couldn't actually connect with it. So now, you know, defensively, that was pretty strong. Now Astrea gets to use the Colossus offensively. The Future is going to just have to back away and hope to find the best concave possible to actually hold on in this game. It looks like Astrea just really wants to go for it. He thinks he can just straight up win, even without the Warp Prism available. It's coming across now, and that might cement victory there. And that indeed does. GG, Astrea.